What did we think of the quadruple S?
Quadruple S?
Sauron's sneaky sunshine simulation.
Will the stranger be able to both get a staff and save Nori?
And since when does Arondir actually need a map to know how to get to Eregion? All this and more in this discussion of the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, television series, season 2, episode 6, here on Bustin' Blockbusters. Welcome to Bustin' Blockbusters. My name is Matt. Today we are reviewing season 2, episode 6, Where Is He? Written by Justin Doble, directed by Sanaa Hamri, and I am joined by someone who, just like Celebrimbor, always believes that when Sauron is around, there's sunshine all around. It's Priscilla. Priscilla, welcome back to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're not going to argue the fact that you think that it's always sunny around Sauron.
No, as you said, I just ignore it and move on as if this is like normal stuff, which should be.
It is normal stuff. Okay, Priscilla, let's not delay any longer. We've got season 2, episode 6. Where is he? How would you rate this on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I waited for you to give your rating so I can give you mine because I wanted to be lower than you.
Well, I mean, I can't rate anything lower than a 7, Priscilla. So it's pretty easy to be lower than me.
Yeah, but so that's why I waited so long. So I gave 8.7 double M's.
Wait, double M's, not Matt Murdock's.
No, not you.
Okay,
Marvelous Muriel. So I don't know. I admire this woman. She's the world's possibly greatest girlfriend without being a girlfriend officially. So as you all know, Numenor has never been my favorite plot. Okay, until now, I think this episode really established Numenor as a place where I really care about two people and two people only. That is Elendil and Miriam. And I care about them so much that I'm almost hoping that this island remains an island for long. Because as you also all know, because we speak a lot about spoilers here, Numenor is no longer for this world. Like the fate of Numenor, let's say, it's not great. Huh?
Right.
And up until now, I was okay. I don't care. I really don't care about this plot because Numenor should go anyway. Just hateful, dumb people living there. Just a couple of people there are like, okay, nice. But now I'm almost wishing they keep Numenor alive for some time. And of course, it was a good episode overall. Sauron, magic Sauron, like giving people what they want, right? This is why. Or at least
you can't even do it with a straight face. You can't keep the bit going.
Oh, at least giving them the illusion that they have what they want.
And you're giving the illusion that you actually like Sauron. So I guess it's all the same.
Yeah. No, Khazad DOOMED, as we and Disenduring great as always. But man, Stranger in the Hobbits, it's bringing the house down, dude. It's bringing the house down. Like, let's keep moving. Let's do something there, And yeah, so that's it. 8.7, 0.1 points below your mark.
Just 0.1 points below my mark. Okay. Well, I mean, folks, you've now witnessed the birth of the podcast of puns. That's a double P on the Double P Media Network. So let's just continue down that path. And I went 0.1 higher than you, Priscilla. I gave it 8.8 out of 10, what I like to call double H's.
Double H's?
Humping hobbits, because Poppy and Merrimack are just about on the verge of forming their own little tribe. They're going to get it on, man. Basically, this is just too, the other Double H.
Double H? Again?
Yeah, horny hobbits. This is something that I never expected to actually get invested in, but for some reason, I love Poppy. I think Merrimack's kind of fun and funny, and so I like them together, and so I'm very happy for that. Speaking of happy, and surely accidents will happen with those hobbits, but there were too many happy accidents in the writing in this episode. Not to
that's true.
slay Justin Doble too much, but what are the chances that out of battalions of orcs that we see at the end of the episode, and just 3 are deserting? What's the chance that one of them actually has a map that can tell Arondir exactly where they're going, so that he doesn't have to just try and rely on tracking them anymore? He knows where they're headed to.
It's a big chance. I would say it's a big chance because Arondir is a main character. So,
but see, that's the thing. It's just convenient because he's the main character.
Yeah,
it's in the reality that would never happen. I understand with Tolkien. There are lots of eucatastrophes, is what he calls them.
But
that happen.
Honestly, I don't. I know people that have this luck, and it's infuriating. Like things just happen to them, and it's infuriating. You said like in the real time, Elaine is like that. Like things just happen for her.
I suppose.
So I know this happened. And I mean, Arondir, he had enough bad luck.
Yeah.
So it's time for him to be lucky again.
Speaking of lucky, Disa is very lucky in this episode as well, because the place where Norvy's going to expand the mines just happens to be over a big bat's nest where Disa can call him down and get him to come after them. Disa.
It's Narvi, not Norvy.
Okay. Well, Disa, as we continue the podcast of puns, is literally going to bat for all of dwarfdom. So, amazing. Yeah, I'm really good at that. I honestly, the Bombadil Sauron, or Bombadil Stranger, not Sauron. That stuff was okay. I don't think we're gonna see Bombadil again. I think the fact that he wasn't there when the stranger turned around means that he gone. He done for the season. It's now up to the stranger to choose his staff and try to save Norvy at the same time, which I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I would hope that Norvy will find some way to save herself, and that the stranger will get a staff, and we'll finally get whatever his name was. But we're not going to get any of that until the very end of episode 8 is what I'm thinking. It's just too much stuff that's going to be happening in Eregion. So I had things that I knocked it down for, but I did like this episode a lot better than last week's episode. Muriel, the Numenor storyline, like you, that compelled me, at least emotionally. I still find a lot of that to be very one-dimensional, but I was compelled by that emotionally. But who cares what I think, folks?
At this point, I'm okay with the villains of Numenor being one-dimensional because we don't spend that much time there anyway. So,
okay. Well, who cares?
I wish it was different. Yeah.
Who cares what Priscilla thinks? Also, we'll just ask what you think. You can send your submissions to @BusBlockbuster on the site formerly known as Twitter, or you can send me emails at mattsaudioblog@gmail.com. You can also leave comments in our YouTube videos, which are part of the Double P Media Network. You can find Double P Media all over the socials, every single social, except maybe OnlyFans, at the word double, the letters PHQ. And you can find them on YouTube at the word double, the letter P, the word media. Gonna switch it up again this week, Priscilla. We're gonna go back to the music because we're gonna talk about how Bear actually made Sauron's theme sound beautiful, the same way that you always hear it, no matter how it's played. You always hear it as beautiful every time it's played. And we're going to explore how Bear does that this time around. If you're not into the music, skip ahead about 5 minutes. I'll try and be short and sweet this time around with the musical analysis. And I just want to talk about one thing, really, and that is the beauty of the interval relationship of Sauron's theme. One of the things that you can do with any piece of music is if you have a motive, a strong motive that everybody recognizes, you can use different contexts of key in order to make that set of intervals, that motive, into things that are completely different in meaning, but still raise the same signals to you as well. And a perfect example of this came when Celebrimbor walked outside and everything seems to be fine in Eregion. And that's not the case. We know that's not the case. We know what's going on outside. We know people are running and screaming and everything. But Celebrimbor sees this wonderfully beautiful setting with artisans working by the fountain and children playing and all of this stuff. Of course, all by Sauron's design. Now, to understand how Bear changed the context of this theme this time around, we need to understand what the theme itself does. What is that motive that we continually recognize? Well, in its normal context, it of course sounds very dark. In fact, it uses a relationship that we call Phrygian in some ways, or even a mode of the harmonic minor scale, which makes it a mixolydian with a flat 9, but all of those are terms that you don't need to know. But listen how the melody sits against its normal bedding of a minor kind of sound, like this. It sounds dark, it sounds off, because it's placed in a straight minor key, but the melody kind of follows that, again, Phrygian kind of sound, which makes it sound exotic also. And what it does is it just represents evil to us in a lot of ways. However, the melody itself is quite applicable, as Tolkien would like to say. There are many ways you can stretch it across by placing that same set of notes in a different key. Suddenly, the melody has a different meaning. These 4 notes are the melody. Now, as Celebrimbor has walked outside and now Sauron is walking down the steps about to give his great monologue that has so many book references in it that it just about made me puke. Nonetheless, the music was beautiful. Bear did a great job because he took that same melody and at first he dresses it up with some children singing and everything like that to set that melody up. Then keeping it in a major key as opposed to the minor one that we're used to hearing at, but just moving the melody to the place where it fits in that major key as the male part of the choir starts to sing that melody. It sounds like this. Again, it's the exact same 4 notes. It just matters what context those 4 notes are put in. You don't even have to change the shape to fit the key. You keep the shape, and you get this wonderfully beautiful major with a minor 4, which makes it feel bittersweet. It makes it feel beautiful, right? And so that's the beauty of taking a motif and using it as your thematic material as opposed to just this long, grandiose theme that can't really be changed. Being able to change the motive, that's the very fabric of what a motive is the fact that it can be used across different harmonic concepts and still be referring to Sauron. Notice that because Sauron is speaking when we hear this, that melody actually jumps out at you more as you're listening on the screen. Also, the change of voices from children to males helps to signal that. But you know that even though Sauron is putting Celebrimbor at peace, and we're experiencing the harmonic bed of Celebrimbor's feeling more at ease, that everything's okay, the melody reminds us that, yeah, this is Sauron's doing. This is Sauron, again, deceiving Celebrimbor. And that's all that we have for the musical analysis this time. Back to Priscilla and I to talk more about this episode. What's worse, Priscilla? We've already kind of talked about this, but what's worse? Believing that out of 3 random deserting orcs that you kill, one of them just happens to have a map telling you exactly where they are heading or what their objective is. Or if a single speech includes too many book references within it. And I'm talking about Sauron's speech to Celebrimbor.
Oh, that's easy. It's included too many book references in one single monologue. And Sauron and Celebrimbor was not even the only one. I think there are some things with Tom Bombadil and not Gandalf that was also like lifted directly from the books. At this point, and I think we touched about it upon that. I think episode 3 or 4. If I'm not mistaken. I think episode 4, because it was also too rich with like book references and callbacks and Easter eggs that I thought that it was kind of suffocating. And this is, for me, it's the worst because including too many book references impacts me as an audience member, whereas the other one is just like a plot convenience thing that is just impacting the characters. But I am being inconvenienced, so therefore is worse.
Well, here's why it's not worse, Priscilla. The reason why it's not worse is because it's just you who's being inconvenienced. Nobody cares. When a character is being impacted, that's important, because that's one of those things where you just have to say, now the story is failing. And so that's why I say that that's worse. Folks, we'll put it up on the poll at Blockbuster on social medias, or at the word double letters PHQ. You can find me through them. So the second question for our what's worse this time around is, what's worse, having a ton of food in front of you and doing your best to resist eating it, or trying to properly pronounce, which is a double P, the word Yurok. You're.
Is not Uruk?
Uruk. Oh, is that how you say it? See, I've made my point already.
Yes, it's gone.
I've proven that it is definitely worse trying to properly pronounce it, at least if you're me. But Priscilla, just for the sake of argument, what would you argue normally?
I would actually not argue that it's worse when you're trying to pronounce something that you cannot, and then you pronounce it wrong, and it can be like racially insensitive, culturally insensitive, give somebody offense. And in this case, I feel that Adar is in season 1, he was trying to school Galadriel about it, how offensive she was being, how dismissive she was being, because that it wasn't the term that they wanted her to use when referring to his children. But right now I feel that he's so over it that he just like, okay, yeah, you're doing it again. So he's a little bit tired of it. Yeah, so I think it's worse anyway.
Yeah, I made a point for your case there, but actually, as a diabetic, it's worse having a whole bunch of wonderful food in front of you and realizing that you haven't taken enough insulin in order to eat any of it. That's torture. Just like Galadriel had to resist eating wonderful grapes and all these wonderful fruits and this whole meal that was in front of her. I guess because she just had to show that she was tough. I mean, if I'd have taken the proper amount of insulin, I would have gorged all that down. Maybe not on Adar's side of the table. I'm not exactly sure what Adar was eating, but on Galadriel's side of the table, looked pretty damn yummy. And so that to me would have been just absolute torture. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll put that on the poll as well at Bus Blockbuster on the site formerly known as Twitter. Priscilla, let's spin the wheel of topics. It's a tiny wheel. I can never read what it says, so you're going to have to tell me after we spin.
Okay.
Oh, where did it land, Priscilla? Where did it land?
Khazad DOOMED.
Khazad DOOMED. All right. Well, what have you got for me on Khazad DOOMED today? Other than bad puns.
Yes, it was a difficult viewing for me because the family dynamics, it sounded so close to reality. We are in a fantastic world. This is a fantasy series,
Right.
but the whole conflict between Diz and Durin and his father, and what to do with his father, who is unwell. I mean, I think
It does raise some kind of like real world kind of
it's
things
very
that people
like,
deal with in terms of their own parents or what have you.
Yeah. And that the couple's discussion on what is the best course of action, and Jesus was being a little bit harsh, and it broke Durin's heart because on one hand he agrees with her, something has to be done. It's not only about them specifically, it's about the whole their kingdom. No, it's about other people too. But on the other hand, he's still his father. It's still somebody he loves, and it's breaking his heart what this is happening, especially because he knows that it's not his father's fault. It's something that has happened to him.
Right.
And I imagine there is also guilt because he brought this onto his father. I completely agree that as a dwarf, he had to bring his king all the options that were given. He should not be able to simply decide it for him. The decision was King Durin. But on the other hand, I imagine like he even returned to Eregion to talk to Celebrimbor about it. So you seem that like I cannot fault Durin one bit. He's always it's amazing. So he and Giza too. She might get things wrong, but her intentions are good, and two, she's trying her best with the information she has. And this led them to this awful position that they're in. So I have no notes for the whole plot at this point. I think that again continues to be one of the high points of the series, and they are taking seriously how to treat then trying to navigate this decision-making process and like failing and trying to get back, but if they cannot. So yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's probably really well done in terms of just seeing Durin struggle with all of it. And that's the thing that got me. I mean, those bats were awfully big bats. Normally bats are about the size of flying mice. But even against dwarves, which are bigger than, they're bigger than halflings. They're slightly taller usually, somewhere in between halflings and men. And those bats look pretty darn big. They look more like pterodactyls going after those dwarves to me. So I don't know how big they get in the Misty Mountains, but they evidently get pretty big when they're just growing inside. And Disa knew exactly what to do with them. And of course, it won't work again. But yeah, Durin's struggle with the double D was pretty hard.
Yeah. So no notes. Khazad DOOMED continues to be a great place to watch, but not a great place to be.
You don't want to know what double D means?
Oh yeah, what double means.
Deposing daddy. They're going to have to take his kingdom away from him. All right.
Do you think you get down to this? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't know. Probably not at this point, but And based on, and folks, this is a little spoilery, but based on some scenes for next week that they've shown those little trailers at the end, looks like young Durin is going to get Durin the Fourth is going to get pulled away from from Khazad by Elrond. So, or at least he's going to be asked to leave. Now, whether he chooses to or not, that's another question. But the question is posed in the preview for next week. So we'll have to see if he has to put off Double D, Daddy Durin, anytime soon, or for the time being. Anything else on Khazad, or are we ready to move on?
Let's move on.
Yeah. All right, let's spin the wheel again. Where did it land this time?
Numenor.
Numenor. Okay. Now, for me, again, everybody still seems one-dimensional. For a while, there's only been two characters that I've really cared about. I will say this. Erin showed me a little bit of heart this week, that she actually does care for her dad. She's already lost her brother, and she's starting to realize that. And so she was trying to help her dad out by getting him to admit the things that he shouldn't admit, but she was just trying to save his life. She doesn't want to lose her daddy too. So I thought that was cool. Bringing Muriel into the whole dungeon thing, that was great. I did get a lot of Ned Stark vibes, even though it's not nearly as dark as the black cells in King's Landing. I still got that that whole up against the post, chained to the post kind of vibe. So it was with an actor like this. I guess it's pretty easy to just kind of do the same thing as they did with Sean Bean, because they even kind of look alike. They kind of talk alike. So it was fun for me to see that, and I'm sure it wasn't intended as a tribute in any way or shape or form, but that's the way I took it. And then the whole stuff with the sea worm was just fabulous. I absolutely loved all that. Loved Muriel stepping up. The one thing that I just kind of wonder is, how is it that Arian knows Numenorean law better than those two guys holding the book, and Pharazôn and the guy holding the book? They pushed Kemen back to the background a little bit, which they should. He shouldn't get too much screen time after killing Elendil. But it may have still been enough to annoy you. And I was waiting. I just keep waiting for Pharazôn to actually twist his mustache, because that's how one-dimensional these characters are. Many of them are. But I did like seeing Muriel in the water. Unlike, we looked at I think it was a teaser trailer or something like that, and people were arguing about whether that was actually Muriel or not.
I remember that. We discussed that, I think.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. We probably did. And turns out it was. Sometimes, the simplest solution is the solution. Good old Occam's razor right there. Looks like Muriel, probably Muriel. So that was all well and good. I thought that was really well done. I'm betting that they spent more money on the CGI of that eyeball than they did on the whole rest of the monster. And they shot a lot of the stuff with her. Well, the underwater stuff they shot with Cynthia Dye Robinson in a tank, naturally. But the other stuff was location. I didn't realize that there was a location like that. That was beautiful. So I don't know how cold the water was. I hope it wasn't too cold. But, I was amazed by all of that. I thought that was great. So your thoughts, in addition to my ramblings about Numenor?
I think it's been established that Erin is a girl that has too much time in her hands, and she and she is trying to emulate power. I think that too. So we saw in one scene that the guy comes with this big book and says and actually advise Pharazôn to go this trial by, I don't know, monster sacrificing. And Pharazôn goes with it. So of course, in wanting to not be closer to power, but like really closer to power, she's like, okay, this book sounds good, no? So I can. What about a soft reading before I go to bed? So then she just goes there, get the book of law, and then she reads the thing just so that next time when Pharazôn needs advice, she's the one giving to him. That's my reading. This is a power-hungry, crazy girl boss.
Oh, okay.
Disloyal child of
Well,
a person that is actually going to become or is already a political prisoner. And in her head, I'm pretty sure in her head, she's fighting to get her father out of this situation. But she is the one who actually said that was in agreement about this whole trial idea in the first place, at least in front of Pharazôn, right? So she's helping, but not really helping. She's doing what is more comfortable for her. So it's a really comfortable idea for her to be the one next to Pharazôn, giving him this advice, while also having her father just be quiet in a corner, not doing anything.
Make waves. Fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
Exactly. So I give her no points here. That's all for me to say. No points given. About Kamen, as I said on my channel, Kamen silent. He's a poet, so he can be just there silent. And Pharazôn hates his son so much. We had this amazing discovery that actually Kamen's mother thought the guy was cursed upon birth, and Pharazôn never. It's just like he just dropped this information, like, oh, by the way, when you were born, did I tell you that your mother said you were cursed, boy? And now, like, you have also to give props to Pharazôn. He is a villain, like mustache wearing villain, because he has the worst son ever, possibly, and the guy cannot even do something like.
You grow up into what you're made of. I'm a believer in habitat.
Sure.
And I believe that the Pharazôn has just made all of this up just because he doesn't like his son very much, because his son probably took his mother.
By the way, what happened to his arm? Because his arm looked okay. So
see, he's got power, man. Magic healing. That's what it is. But back to Erin, I think that you should give her points, because I don't know that before this. No
points.
No, I don't know that before this episode we even knew that she could read. But you just said that she read books before, so I'm fairly certain we need to give her some points for at least being able to read.
Well, no, she was trying to get into university. Remember the first season?
Yeah, as an artisan, you don't got to read to make art.
Okay, so that's why, like, to pay her tuition, because Numenor is not Europe. Numenor is America. Then she had
I guess she could read the acceptance letter. So yeah, you're right. She could read. At any rate, that's all I've got on Numenor. Anything else?
Oh yeah. So I'm glad that this plot actually moved, and it has been moving every time we have Numenor on screen right now. Even when it's annoying, the plot at least is moving somewhere, and this somewhere is total destruction.
Yeah. I am a little bit more emotionally. I like political intrigue stuff and everything, and this particular storyline is the only one that really has any of that. And I'm not saying that it's been done well.
It's not.
But now I'm at least emotionally invested a little bit more in what's happening, at least with Elendil and Muriel, and now even a little with Erin. I'm just kind of. She didn't change my mind about her, but she does make me sympathize a little bit more with her this time around, or sympathize for her a little bit more.
I am scared of you. I'm scared of you and concerned. I just sympathize with
You have concerns. I understand.
Yeah. And I agree with you. Elendil media, they make this plot, this Numenor, not only be bearable, but actually being like emotionally relevant to the whole story. So maybe I will care after all. Who knows?
Look at that, folks. She may not be calling for a wave at the end of season 2 after all.
Yeah, because at this point, up until now, I was like, it cannot come sooner enough. But right now, I have doubts. So good job. It landed on not Gandalf and the hobbits. You should not put Gandalf. We don't know.
It is Gandalf. Come on. It's gonna be Gandalf. That's a double G. Gonna be Gandalf. It's definitely, and the Harfoots and the Storrs are all going to be hobbits. So I'm just using this in the future context because we all know that that's what it is. Now, I'll agree they're doing the Blue Wizard storyline, but that, like you said, I think at the beginning of the season, you said you were worried that they were going to do the Blue Wizard storyline, but they're still going to give him the name Gandalf. I don't know that guy out there, that Kieran Hines' character, this other weird wizard, this other Astari, if he's going to be Sauron or not, but they certainly dressed him up like he's going to be Sauron. At anything.
Saruman, yeah.
Or Saruman, pardon me. And the other thing is that there wasn't a single moment in this that I really cared about. Like I said, I enjoy the Poppy Merrimack thing because it's cute. And I guess I did like kind of the emotional touch of the goon telling Nori the story about why this place is their home. I thought that was cool. I cannot recall that actress's name, but she did a very good job with that monologue. It was touching. But I mean, at the end of all of that, Nori and Poppy just say, well, I guess we just got to do it for ourselves. Well, duh, you've had that same notion ever since that tornado blew you away, that you managed to survive somehow. So, I mean, you've been stuck in that same situation. You have no idea where the stranger is. The stranger, on the other hand, he's got to go through, a grove of trees and try and pick out a limb, I guess. And Bombadil was zero help other than saying, here's grove, go pick a tree. Don't forget to ask, is what I would also advise the stranger, because the last time he just tried to take a branch, he ended up inside a tree. So I didn't find any value in this other than they're just stalling because they really only have one sequence where Gandalf becomes Gandalf and then manages to save Nori and Poppy somehow too. So it just felt like a waste when you could have put all of that together later on. I don't mind not seeing them for an entire episode. Or even 3 entire episodes. I don't need check-ins, and that's all that this felt like. And not only that, but it robbed me of more great Rory Kinnear, where all he says is, hey, you got to do this. See ya. Yeah. So that was my least favorite storyline of this episode. How about you?
They are giving this plot very good actors, I have to say. And
yes,
they
I
are
agree.
able to. Yeah, the casting has been consistent. But I feel like the first season, like their storyline was better developed than this season in some places, because this season, as you said, we don't need check-ins every now and then. If you're just going to develop this plot, like here are Stranger and Naughty, and here they get separated, and here they get reunited again, and that's it. If there is like just 3 really rigid points to tell the story, why don't you just stick by 3 episodes or so, right?
Right.
Because or give them something else, something relevant to the other stories, because this storyline is very like self-centered, like it's self-contained. You don't interact with other things. Whereas Numenor, they have like a tangent, and there is also Isildur. We didn't see Isildur here. We could have seen it. It would have been a trade-off that I would actually find better for the whole narrative. But this, like, it's difficult because I really like Nori and I really like Poppy.
Yeah.
And my problem is with the stranger and its storyline. We've been discussing the Blue Wizards things. I have this new theory about it, that they could actually remember the movies, that how Gandalf the Grey becomes Gandalf the White. He fails, no? He falls for the Balrog. Then the Valar send him back with the mission from Saruman. So he takes the mantle of Saruman. I'm thinking that they could do that too. They could
Gandalf the Blue?
Yeah, they could keep not naming him, because remember, he keeps saying all the hints that his name is Gandalf. He keeps saying, I will know my name when I hear that. But he hears kind of already and he didn't recognize. So maybe in this iteration, he is some unnamed wizard that is blue, that will get the mantle of Tom Bombadil, and he will fight off against the evil blue wizard. All check out on the lore, and then he fails, and then he's come back again another season as Gandalf the Grey.
Didn't the showrunners, though, didn't they say before this season that by the season's end we will know his name?
Yeah. But we can know his name without him telling us his name too. Yeah. So I don't know how it's just a theory. It might be wrong. It's possibly wrong, but I would think that this is an elegant way to have the best of two worlds, let's just say, because there has been so much delay in the development of this plot that I'm anxious to have some sort of satisfying answer to it, other than, it has been Gandalf the whole time. It's just wishful thinking.
Gotcha.
And I just wanted to put it out there. Hey, don't tease. If you're just going to give me Gandalf, don't keep teasing me so much.
Yeah, you don't need a whole season to do that. I agree.
Yeah. We already know. We already love him. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. Anything else on these crazy kids and their grandpappy?
Yeah, let's keep these hobbits. Let's give them the Shire. Let's see them go. Let's see them go west. Yeah.
It's season 5, right? When they finally get to the Shire.
I would say, honestly, let me be frank here. I would just finish their storyline next season. Just put them somewhere close to the Shire and just pick up with them like by the end of the season.
So that they're not affected by the whole war and all of that stuff. That might work, actually.
Yeah, because they are canonically not. They don't play. Nobody ever heard about the hobbits before the Third Age. So this is the story about how the Second Age came to an end. So we are supposedly going to get the Third Age, at least not namely, not like this is the Third Age, it starts right now, but after the War of the Last Alliance. If the last scene of the series is the hobbits arriving to the Shire, finally, then it will be canonically correct, because that's where the hobbits come from. That's the time where people start to be acquainted with them, the Third Age.
Well, see, now Poppy and Nori have the digging a hole thing. They've got that idea. So from the Storrs, and the Storrs, it's the Storrs, the Harfoots, and the what?
There's another one. Yeah,
there's a third one. They're kind of like what forms the hobbits, right?
Yes.
So that's See, that's the thing that worries
Uh,
me. There's still
I
got to be
think
another season
Doble,
of them meeting the other tribe, the third tribe.
Smeagol was a Storr.
Was he a store? I don't know what he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. You can Google. I think he was a Storr, if I'm not mistaken. And Sam and Frodo, they were also not from the same tribe. And Sam is canonically dark skinned, actually. Because the Storr is so.
Okay. Well, wherever they come from, we've still got to meet the third group before they settle down in the Shire, is what I'm saying.
Now I want to know. Now I want to remember. That's the thing about you getting old and frail like me. You keep forgetting stuff.
Yeah. Speak for yourself. I turned the double
Okay.
nickel recently, and I'm just as sharp as I've ever been.
Follow Heights. Follow Heights.
Okay. There you go,
Harfoots,
folks.
Storrs, and Follow Heights. Yeah.
So we've only got 2 topics on the wheel left. One of them, I'm assuming, is inside Eregion, and the other one is outside Eregion, which would mean like Adar and Galadriel and Arondir and all that. So which one do you want to tackle first?
Let's go outside Eregion, and then we finish with the best. We save the best for last.
Yeah, because this also was quite useless to me. It's a Galadriel. I'm going to help you do it. No, wait, don't do it. Arondir. Oh, look, I killed an orc. Oh, look, there's a map. Now I know exactly where they're going. That way I can show up just like I did in the trailer so that I can take on a troll trying to get to Adar. It didn't do anything for me. None of it. I like the Adar character just fine. I think the new actor is doing just fine with it, but I really don't care. I know that he's not going to make it. Sauron's going to kill him. He's going to say, "Hey, remember, you killed me. I'm going to kill you now." It's basically going to be like that. And so he's luring him into this trap to attack Eregion just so that he can do that. And poor Damrod, he's just a crazy troll who evidently Sauron wronged, and he's just going to suffer at the hands of Arondir because Arondir is trying to get to Adar for something that Adar didn't do. Bronwyn didn't die because of Adar. So I'm just kind of done with this whole let's do this, let's not do this. How do we do this? It just seemed pointless. Adar was going to attack Eregion anyway. He'd already sent one of the men down. Carvin, where is he in the guy's body? It seemed pointless to me, I guess. Although you got to give Morfydd Clark a little bit of screen time since she is one of the top bills on the show. But I don't know. Convince me that there was something worth watching here, Priscilla.
Well, I think it was worth watching to see that Ada was baiting Galadriel into confirming that Halbrand was Sauron, which surprised me.
That he knew that? Yeah, that was a good surprise. You're right.
Yeah, that for me was worth it because it made me. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting that Halbrand and Ada had agreed on a sort of plan that Halbrand would go to Eregion and try to infiltrate, gain information, and then Ada would attack Eregion, and Halbrand, being Sauron, would take over the army from Ada from there, without Ada realizing that Sauron was actually Halbrand. But this surprised me that maybe Valdreg, God bless him,
that makes me go back to the episode where he let Halbrand go and wonder why. Why did he let Halbrand go in the first place?
But that's the thing. He didn't know. So then he baited Galadriel, and Galadriel confirmed.
Yeah, but he must have suspected, or he would have never baited Galadriel.
Yeah, but when did he start suspecting Halbrand? Because the last time we saw them, too, what Halbrand did. Halbrand swore fealty to other, remember? In
No,
others' head.
Well,
In
maybe
others' head.
I think
In
I think
others' head, right? He swore fealty to the Lord of Mordor. In others' head, he is the Lord of Mordor. So this was my reading. I thought everything was fine. And then I realized, no, Other is actually smarter than I thought. That was a interesting surprise to me. So now I'm wondering if I read the whole thing in the first 2 episodes correctly, or if I missed some information, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe they simply deleted a scene. I don't know. It sounds like it seems something is missing in this puzzle, and I'm really interested in learning what is missing.
Well, maybe it's just the fact that Halbrand never came back.
That's true. That's true. That can very well be like that. There was a time frame agreed, and Halbrand never came back. So we're like, okay, this guy very suspect. Valdrig is killed by a warg. So yeah.
Yeah. Either way, it just. I mean, it was nice to see that J.R.R. had figured it out, but it's like, what good does it do now? So that's why I'm kind of poo-pooing on the whole thing.
What I really don't understand, and I guess they're trying to MacGuffin the whole thing, is the thing about the crown and one of the rings being powerful enough to actually get rid of Sauron.
Right.
This, I understand that this would sound something for the audience. Oh, okay, so now they are trying a new angle here. And it was a good segue into going into the lore and explaining that crown was Morgoth's crown, that actually Sauron had refitted to fit his own tiny head. And they even talked about the Silmarils, etc., etc. So it was a good addition at this point, because it was, and also remember.
But to me, it's just all. Well, hang on. To me, it's just all concocted merely so we can have a scene of Galadriel and Sauron facing off at the end of the season. That's all it's for. It doesn't matter whether they included cool stuff from the lore or not to get there. It's all manufactured, and that just feels awful to me.
As I was saying, remember the first season where Galadriel was narrating about the end of the First Age and how Sauron actually succeeded Morgoth. And we have this scene of Sauron in the armor and like the orcs bowing down to him. And then we go back to the second season and we see that never happened. That was just like that Galadriel was an unreliable narrator. Actually, what happened is that my boy Sauron was trying to hype himself to the orcs. The orcs were having nothing of it, and they rebelled with Other.
Right.
You know, so this scene with Galadriel and Other actually brought insight when Other was explaining about what happened to the crown and how he killed during the crowning, and he was actually kind of, I know that people imagined that wasn't that way, and he was like kind of like digging dogs at Galadriel's stupid idea that the orcs are so dementedly loyal to evil that they would not fight back to Sauron.
Okay, and so you've become Batman 23. You're now an orc defender.
I'm trying to explain why I think that it was more than about the MacGuffin, you know. It was about the logic of Galadriel that the orcs are not even worth breathing, and others saying, no, the orcs have some, we saw that Glug has a family and blah, blah, blah. And he's telling her, straight point, we did not bow to Sauron. This is the proof. I took off this crown myself with my own hands and I killed him once. So now if you ally yourself to us with this ring, maybe we can do that for good.
Well, they didn't
And
have to have
obviously,
another scene of Galadriel and Sauron
and
facing
obviously,
off.
you will fail. Obviously, you will fail.
Right.
I don't know. We discussed a lot about Sauron and Galadriel and your hatred of.
Yeah, you didn't need it. You don't need another face
Yeah,
off.
so I think
A
this is
pointless face off.
yeah.
It's gonna have zero result. Sauron's gonna live. Galadriel's gonna live. There's no stakes in it.
But what if they kill somebody else?
Well, obviously Sauron's going to kill Adar.
Yeah, but what if they kill somebody that Galadriel actually likes? But I cannot remember if Galadriel likes anyone.
She doesn't.
Right now.
She's cold and she doesn't like anyone.
She likes Theo. She likes Theo. She likes the boy Theo.
Well, who doesn't? Everybody loves Theo.
I don't love Theo.
Well,
I mean, think
you're one in billions.
It would be a lovely scene of a face-off between Sauron and Galadriel, and I'm looking forward to it.
Until he asks her to marry him again.
He never did ask her to marry him.
He asked her to marry him in power last season.
Yeah, that's different. That's a union of souls. You know, it's a yeah.
Well, isn't that kind of what you pledge when you get married? You're the married one. I'm not. I don't know. Don't you pledge to put your souls together to become soulmates?
No, I didn't marry in the church. It was just like the normal thing.
Just a civil service.
Just sign a paper here, get your visa stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. See, this is one of the advantages of being forever single. Okay. So is that enough about Adar and Galadriel? Is there anything else? Arondir, useless. We know where he's headed.
Stop saying that. Arondir, he just found a map.
You know what?
He's not guilty. He's not guilty of being lucky, is he? Is he?
He's a walking eucatastrophe, is what he is. Those are the Tolkien things that where they just happen. You know, that works out for the side of good. So he's the walking eucatastrophe, and I emphasize the word catastrophe. Although he did have some good moves. Actually, one of the orcs had some good moves too. So I kind of enjoyed the fight sequence. But then when he happened to search. This is the one orc that he says, "Oh, I'm going to search this one. Oh, there's a map right in his sleeve. Oh, it happens to be the map where I need to go. Thank you, plot. Thank you, poor writing."
Hey, I want to ask you, do you think Adar is the father of all the orcs? That means that all the orcs...
Well, obviously not, because Glug has one. Glug has a brand new baby.
Hey, you don't even let me finish. Do you think that all the orcs there are descendants of him in some way? Like from his sons and grandsons and great-grandsons and whatever, because thousands of years passed? That would be like very bad for the genetic pool, right?
Well, I mean, take a look at orcs. Their genetic pool isn't that strong.
You said yourself that they had good moves, Matt, just because they are ugly. Like, beauty is not everything.
That's genetics, though.
Yeah, but I mean, like, internally, they are capable of thought, and they are capable of...
I know. I'm going to say this to Patman right now. Orcs are people, too. All right, so are we done with that? Can we move on?
You didn't ask. You didn't answer. Come on.
I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay, you don't want to think about it.
I don't want to think about it.
I don't blame you. I also don't want to think about it.
Then why did you ask the question?
Because it was interesting, and we are doing the podcast, and we have to
obviously if neither of us want to think about it, then how interesting a question is it?
For all the people there are like listening, they are wondering, oh my God, what about the orcs? So
we answer all your burning questions here on Adar's Assault, the new podcast. It's a double A. Let's talk about your guy. Let's talk about Sauron. That was one of the cool. That was one of the coolest shots I've ever seen.
Did you notice
that 360?
Did you notice that he has new clothes?
Yeah,
he changed.
He's powering up his boss form. He's now moved to a top level boss with those clothes. Those were awesome. But I just think I saw some footage, behind the scenes footage of how they did that 360 shot. And I thought that all of the color grading and all of that was what changed it from day to night. Wasn't. They actually did it with lights as the camera went around him and he started to walk off. Even people that were sitting and were all nice and pretty and everything and what have you. You see, I think one of them or two of them have things on their hands and they smear their face up and then they start running in front of the camera as well. So same people.
That's why it looked so amazing. Small. It looked very good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all done in one shot. It was just crazy.
That's great.
Yeah, I never knew that you could do that with a practical effect. And then you add Bear McCreary's score to it. And that's one of the most epic fantasy shots I've ever seen.
I really like the shot before when he's concocting that this illusion in Celebrimbor's head, that he's like,
yeah, he actually had to struggle. He also had to do blood magic. He actually had to cut his own hand.
Yeah, I love that. I love everything about it.
Yeah, that was great.
That's like, I love high fantasy. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And it's your boy Sauron, of course.
Yeah.
Who I don't like.
What can we say more? Come on, he's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I was impressed with all of the way that was done and the way that it looked and everything like that. But his monologue to Celebrimbor right before that, again, not Sauron's fault. He's just got to read the lines that are written for him. But I don't need to hear rings being called precious. I've already heard that way too much from Gollum. I don't need to hear the Silmarils pronounced the way that they're supposed to be pronounced in the Elven tongue. I don't need that. Celebrimbor's an idiot. You proved that without him ever having to give this speech. I didn't need that speech. I understand how it's going to seal the deal for Celebrimbor, and I understand the importance of that. But that's not nearly as fun as Sauron getting up on the in one of the towers and just raising his arms. That was fantastic. That's the kind of Sauron that I want to see, not this floaty bad writing crap. And even poor Merdania, she's in love, and he's not even going to remember her name any more than Celebrimbor does. He's going to choose to not remember her name, whereas Celebrimbor is just, he's going crazy. He's going batso because Sauron's in his head the whole time.
Merdania obviously had a crush on Celebrimbor before, and now she has a crush on Sauron.
Well, Sauron's a better catch. Sauron's definitely a better catch.
I really hope she doesn't die. I really like her as a character. I really like her. She's like this elf lady that is just doing her job and trying her best, and too innocent. She's too innocent. She doesn't see any fault in whatever.
You kidding? She's not all that innocent. She's not all that innocent. She wants to jump Sauron's bones.
No, she's innocent.
Okay.
She's an elf.
Did you see that look she gave when he held her hand?
I hate to break it to you, Matt, but if Sauron held my hand, if he held my hand, I would give him a look too. It's just math. Not, I'm a married lady. I wouldn't trade my husband, but he's a good-looking dude, and he has flowing hair, and he has.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that your husband has agreed to the fact that Sauron is your hall pass?
We never discussed it. I'm
Oh.
just saying that I would blush too, because great clothes, great hair, tall guy holding my hand. Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking to me softly.
I'm telling your husband that you're plotting to leave him for Sauron.
Never. I'm not Galadriel.
Oh, that gets a fake Holly laugh, ladies and gentlemen. That was the fake Holly laugh that you just heard playing as we were cut away, because that was just too funny.
You laughed. It wasn't fake. I saw you.
No, it was real. It was real. But when we say something funny,
The effect,
actually
yeah,
funny,
I know.
we get the fake Holly laugh, and Priscilla definitely earned one right there. What else about Eregion? Anything? I thought the assault, actually, and not to mix it the outside and the inside, but the fireballs coming and toppling towers, that was all great CGI. It looked fantastic, looked real to me.
It did, yeah. Even in my tiny screen, I could see the whole thing.
Yeah. The tiny screen probably even helped it a little bit, because the smaller the image, the least you have to worry about resolution. I didn't watch it on a big screen. My screen's only what 20, 28, 30 inches wide. So I know you're watching on a screen this size, but
no, not that tiny. Come on. Don't destroy me.
it would look great on a screen this size, trust me.
I watch on my crap laptop, like this one. Yeah.
Well, all right. So what else about Eregion? Anything?
I just don't want to see Eregion go. I'm sad.
It's such a beautiful town, but it's already on its way to being destroyed.
It's the opposite. It's the opposite feeling I had from Numenor. Numenor cannot go any sooner. Eregion, why? I like the towers. I like that they have this huge forge right now. I like everything. I like Medania. I like the guards. The guards are awesome. They have awesome armor. It's amazing. Why go away?
Yeah. And why does it take 2 episodes? Why do you want to kill Priscilla painfully over a long period of time? Just get it all done with in a 20-minute battle in the last episode. But no, we're going to have a whole episode of the siege next week, and then the week after that, things will finally happen. So it's just going to draw out the pain for Priscilla, and that'll be my chief complaint, because I am somebody who stands up for Priscilla's thoughts all of the time. I never ever attack any of Priscilla's thoughts. I always try to champion them as best I can, and so I will fight against them causing pain to Priscilla. That's what I should do.
Yes, you're a good friend.
Yeah, that's what I do. I got nothing else on Eregion. How about 3 words?
Numenoreans are dumb. That's my 3 words.
That's your 3 words?
Yeah.
That's something that you could apply to every episode. That's not very unique to this episode at all.
I'm sorry. That's all I got. They keep doing dumb stuff.
They do keep doing dumb stuff. I don't guess I can argue with that very much. I had 2 sets, but I can't decide which one I want. One is a triple S.
Triple S?
Yeah, Sauron's saucy sinning. Because he's not just sinning. He's not just creating illusion. He's doing it with zest, baby. He is, so that was good. And then my other one is bad queen's meat, because obviously the sea worm didn't even think. Not only now, you just said Numenoreans are dumb, so they are all thinking that Muriel was returned because the Valar had decided her fate. That's not true. The sea worm started to eat her and realized that Muriel is such tainted goods that it spit her back out. That's what happened there. But the Numenoreans are dumb, as you said in your 3 words, and that's why Muriel lives. For last week,
I don't believe it that you said this about Muriel. She's a sweetheart.
she is. I'm doing a bit here. Let me do my bit.
No.
Evidently I can't. We did get one set from Audra Varda on the site formerly known as Twitter, who goes at big_D_96. Calm before storm. The lightning was starting to flare right at the end of the episode. But that's a good description for the episode. Thank you very much. We didn't get any for last week at all. We got a couple for the week before that from Hamlet and Camille. I think we'll hear from Camille in the feedback. But first, we have to do our Rings of Power award. Or who will we award a Ring of Power to, or what plotline this particular week? So I will give mine first, because this is the podcast of puns, a double P. I'm giving my ring to Disa, who literally went to bat for the good of all dwarfdom. And then I am given the Numenor plotline because despite it being, again, one-dimensional and because Numenoreans are dumb, I still felt emotion during the storyline. I still worried about Elendil until Muriel showed up. And I didn't really worry too much about Muriel. I don't know why. That was weird. But I was very happy when she came back up on the shore alive and not half-eaten. Because I was certain that sea worm was going after her, as was all of Numenor, because Numenoreans are dumb, and I am dumb just like Numenoreans. So those are my Rings of Power awards for this week. How about you, Priscilla? What you got?
I give Muriel the Ring of Power this week because, as I said, she's the best queen and also the best girlfriend. I wouldn't do this for any guy.
Gotcha.
Sorry, but I wouldn't. Yeah.
All right.
No.
We do have quite a bit of feedback this week, so let's start with my nemesis, Patman. Patman 23. He's Patman 23 on a site formerly known as Twitter, and you can find all of his wonderful blog writings at patspinagle.com. And in regards to my criticism of last week's episode, because it's a perfect topic for him to be my nemesis on. Matt, you were way too hard on the 5th episode of Rings of Power. Seeing Sauron being manipulative is exactly what we want. If you read it as creepy, embrace it. No, I shall not, Patman. Also, I think he was pursuing a flirting strategy just to manipulate the blonde elf. Well, that's what Priscilla said too, but to me it was still too creepy. Priscilla was correct in talking about Galadriel's hair. It's famous even among elves, so Anatar telling what's her name, I apologize for being like, look, Patman, you can't come at me with points when you don't even remember. I don't remember her name either. Mirdania. You don't remember
Mirdania. That's my accent. Sorry. Yeah, it's Mirdania for me.
Mirdania. Okay. Anyway, Patman, we're even right now. That her hair was reminiscent of Altariel's famously beautiful hair was A+ scheming. Also, the episode deserves a bonus point for not making us watch any Tom Bombadil nonsense. So I'm boosting your relatively low 8 point whatever rating up to an approximate 9 point whatever rating. Don't get mad that Sauron's theme is playing when our Pharazôn is considering the Palantir. It's ominous and creepy. The casual viewer isn't going to say, what? This is too on the nose. It's also appropriate that we hear Sauron's theme, since Sauron does influence Pharazôn in the Silmarillion, but after he's been captured and taken to Numenor in chains, and they aren't going to have time for all of that. And plus, Halbrand was already taken to Numenor, so that's kind of already been fulfilled. Don't get mad when the show obliquely leans on things that are in the Silmarillion that they have to take advantage of what they can, since they don't have Silmarillion rights. Music is one of those ways. Look, Patman, I wasn't talking about the average viewer. I was talking about me, a person who does music. Hello? Have you been listening to my podcast for years? What am I known for? I'm known for covering the music. And so when I say something is too on the nose, I mean, for me, it's too on the nose. I know exactly what theme that is. And believe me, a lot of other people do too. So I'm telling you right now, Patman23, you keep your nose out of my music business, and I won't say anything about your orcs.
Wow.
The camera just drew in on me. It zoomed in on my teeth, my ugly, coffee-stained yellow teeth, as I screamed at Patman23. Harley Camille. This is at Harley Camille on Twitter. It's Camille, I believe, is her actual name. So maybe she rides Harleys. Maybe that's what that's about. Hey, send me a tweet at Bus Blockbuster on the site formerly known as Twitter. Tell me why you have that name. Or maybe Harley is your last name. I don't know. But I do like what Camille said here. She said, I don't understand why people don't like this show. I love it. Certain fans are annoying, similar to certain Star Wars fans. I love experiencing all of these shows. I agree. There's great television around. And I think we discussed it last week. Hate watching has become very popular, especially here in the United States. And so I don't think people actually hate the show as much as they say on their YouTubes and that kind of thing. I think they say it to get views because that's what people evidently like, because we've become such a hateful society that we can't just talk about an issue anymore. We just have to throw daggers at each other until one of us falls dead from bleeding to death. On YouTube.
So true.
Yeah. On YouTube, there are no real shortcuts, said this. And this is, well, we'll get to it here. But maybe simp is the wrong word. Simp means he's genuinely fallen for Galadriel and is groveling on the ground. He's buying her flowers and bleep, laugh out loud. He's just manipulative, i.e. pretending to be a simp, and then turning abusive, fake nice guy, basically. Right. And the reason why there are no shortcuts put this is because our thumbnail on our YouTube, on the Double P Media, I had not submitted that thumbnail actually for Bubba to use. Bubba came up with that one on his own, but he did put it in front of me, and I did not disqualify it. I wanted to use One Ring Prototype. That was the title that I wanted to put on it with the big question mark. And Bubba didn't think that that was electric enough. So you fell for the clickbait. There are no shortcuts. You fell for the clickbait. None of us actually called Sauron a simp. None of us here
I
would.
think you did.
I did not call him a simp. Did I?
Yes.
Okay, so
Pretty
Priscilla
sure.
says I did. So never mind. I'm taking all of that back. I'm an idiot. Thank you very much.
I'm pretty sure you did, man.
Slim Shady, he says this: keep up the banger content. Us arguing is banger content, evidently. So people like argument television also, not just hate television. Lugren says, I think you guys should consider creating a blue sky so that your Brazilian fans can keep having you around, like on Twitter, since you obviously mentioned, Priscilla, that Brazil is no longer going to have Twitter. We like interacting
Thank
with
God.
you.
Yeah.
So Priscilla, you don't even have any social media, right? You're
have
not.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Have nothing.
So that won't do you any good. But you can watch her channel at Priscilla TV1 on YouTube. You can leave comments there. She always responds to you. Usually when I leave a comment, she responds to me in a very smart alecky way. But I guarantee you she won't do it like that with you. She will instead use logic and reason and friendliness. All the things that she never uses when she responds to one of my comments. Thank you very much for all of that feedback. We very much appreciate it. Again, that is Lugren on YouTube who left that. We have polls. Thank goodness I still have faith in all of our viewers and listeners, because our What's Worse polls came back exactly in Priscilla's favor, as they should, because she outsmarted me last week. She took the points that I was going to take, which were the correct points. Usually she takes the wrong side. And this time she took the correct side on everything. So for season 2, episode 5 of Rings of Power, what was worse, to sending your husband to talk to a king down talk a king down, and him returning, not only having failed, but also with a promotion. Or 2, having to let Anatar play with your hair in some kind of weird Galadriel fixation fantasy. Now, the only reason that's double F. The only reason that Priscilla won this argument is because she wanted to take away my argument. She wanted to take away the fixation fantasy, the double F. So she argued that point, even though she didn't really believe it. I know that she didn't really believe it because she didn't believe that it existed. So I had to argue the dwarf diminished, which is a double D, and I lost handily, 72.7% to 27.3%. The next what's worse question, again, Priscilla outsmarted me, as she usually does. What's worse, looking into a Palantir and destroying churches because Sauron told you to, or 2, just being Kemen? Well, I think we all know the answer to that one is just being Kemen. Priscilla took that argument, took it away from me. I wanted that argument so bad, but no, she had to be the victor in this particular fight as well. And so with 92.9%, it's almost like one person voted for me in this particular argument, I think, out of the number of people that came across on the poll. So maybe 2. I don't remember how many people voted on this poll, but all of you basically voted for Priscilla, as you should. As I said in last week's podcast, if you voted for me, I was going to worry about your state of mind. And now, last week's episode, also the final poll results, 50% of the people thought it was great. 33%, basically a third, thought it was good. 4.2 thought fair, and 12.5, basically an eighth. Almost like 1 out of 8 people voted. Well, no, with a 4.2, you couldn't have, it must have been more votes than that. But at any rate, 12.5%, 1/8 of you thought that it was poor. And we do have a poll up this week. Please go to @BustBlockbuster on the site formerly known as Twitter. That's where you find all the polls. Sometimes Double P Media retweets them as well, so you can check out at the word double letters PHQ. Make sure to check them out on all the socials. There's all kinds of podcasts still coming out this year on Double P Media. Right now, Bubba's covering Only Murders in the Building and Moonflower Murders, which is a sequel to Magpie Murders. His murder stuff is really popular. He gets a lot of viewers and listeners. He does very well.
It's good for him. It's good for him because he likes violence and humor. So
he likes solving mysteries, which is one of the things that always drove me crazy about Bubba.
Violence and humor.
Yeah, he is into that. Yeah, I don't think that they mix well at all.
No, in a mystery they mix well. That's what I meant. You in the mystery, usually it's like a violent crime.
At any rate, he's covering a whole bunch of shows that are about violence and humor and mystery.
Yeah,
and there's more podcasts coming down. So you're going to want to follow at the word double letters PHQ all over the internet. You might even ask him to set up an OnlyFans account. Maybe he'll show you his feet. Bustin' Blockbusters put out this poll earlier this week. The poll is still open. Please go vote for it. How would you rate season 2, episode 6? And 34.5% of you so far have said it's great. 31% of you have said it's good. 6.9% of you thought it was fair. Fair always gets the smallest amount. I don't know what that is. Nobody has, you got to be to the extremes anymore. And then 27.6% thought it poor. That's so far. You can change that math, and we'll tell you that math next week when we announce the final results of that poll. Anything else to add, Priscilla, before we go? Because I'm distracted because of my job. I am at a loss for words, and I'm just not very good at this. So wrap us up with something good.
I'm just not good. Yeah, well, folks, thanks for watching, for listening to us, for bearing with us, and forgive Matt with the funny hat. He's great at podcasting, but he's too humble to brag.
I'm not great at podcasting because Priscilla proves that to me every single week. See ya.
Yeah.